Hi there, Chris from Motolegends, Champion the Cap, here today to talk to you about a helmet from Shoei. It's called the RYD. Now we're recording this towards the end of 2019, November 2019. Might seem a slightly strange time to be talking about this helmet because it's been in the market for a couple of years. But it's a real favourite of ours at Motolegends, and so I just wanted to talk it through. I think it's quite a unique proposition. Now, it's not been massively popular in other markets. In fact, I think for 2020 it's being withdrawn from other markets, but it's going to continue here in the UK. I think an indication of the fact that it's not been massively popular is that this was priced at £350 when it was first launched, but about 6 months ago the importer reduced the price to £300. So I'm not quite sure why that's been the case, because for us it's always been a big seller. It's always been one of our favourites. I'm just not sure that other dealers have particularly understood what this helmet's about. It's not a particularly sporting helmet. It kind of fits in between some other helmets, but I'm going to tell you about it. I'm going to talk you through the helmet itself, and then I'm going to explain who I think it's aimed at, who it's particularly good for, and why we're such fans of it here at Motolegends. So let's just talk through the RYD. I'm going to take you through all the features, tell you what it does, what it is. Shell is Shoei's famous AIM shell, Advanced Integrated Matrix. That's a combination of organic and natural fibers. It's a medium density shell. It's a lightweight shell. This helmet weighs in at about just over 1,300 grams. When you buy a Shoei helmet, you know that you're buying into the ultimate level of protection. Now, when you spend this kind of money, you might be buying a helmet that passes 2205, but in our view, 2205, ECE 2205, is not necessarily a particularly high or protective standard. In fact, if you think about it, you can go and buy an ECE 2205 helmet in Lidl for £25. When you buy a helmet from Shoei, you're buying into Shoei's far superior testing regime. They test to a much higher standard. So for example, on their anvil test, when they drop this onto an anvil, they do that from twice the height that they use for the ECE 2205 test. So you are buying very superior levels of protection here. The AIM shell is what we call medium density, which means it absorbs impact well, but it's also absorbent of energy in an impact. Now, different companies produce helmets with different densities of shell. So for example, on an RI, you'll get a very tough shell. That's fantastic for multiple impacts, but doesn't necessarily absorb a lot of energy. So what you tend to find with an RI is a much thicker EPS to absorb energy in an impact. That can make for a slightly bigger, slightly heavier helmet. There are helmets at the other end that have very soft shells. They absorb a lot of energy, but they're not very good in multiple impacts. So we love a Shoei shell. It seems to us to be the perfect blend of strength and energy absorption. In terms of the rest of the helmet, it comes in 4 different shell sizes. There are 6 sizes across 4 shells. So extra small and small share the smallest shell size. Then medium has its own shell, large has its own shell, and then XL and double XL share a shell. As ever with Shoei, what we love is the fact that we can change the cheek pads and the headliners. Now, Shoei helmets are comfortable. It's one of those helmets you put on and you feel immediately at home in them. They are soft in the cheeks, they feel firm and well placed, but whenever you put a Shoei helmet on, it feels great. But of course, not every helmet is going to fit every head shape. We all have different head shapes. Some of us have rounder heads, some of us have longer oval heads. The basic shape of all Shoei's is kind of intermediate oval, but if you come to see us and you have a face that is a little bit rounder than you need, than is right for the shell size that you've chosen, then what we can do is put a thinner cheek pad in. But if you've got more of a pear-shaped face with thinner cheeks, we can put thicker cheek pads in. It's very easily done, it takes seconds here. Every Shoei helmet across the range comes with a 35mm cheek pad. Depending on the helmet, you have a number of different size cheek pads that you can replace it with. In this helmet, in the RYD, we can put a 31mm, 35 is standard, as I've said, or we can put a 39 or a 43. Across that range, we can pretty much make most people comfortable. In terms of the headliner, if we find that the shell size is kind of right for you, but it's just a little bit tight on the forehead, we can take the 9mm out and put a 5 in. but if it's moving about a little bit too much, we can put a 13. So we can fine tune the interior parts to make this helmet fit just about everybody. Venting, you've got a vent here on the chin, open and closable, and adjustable vents on the brow. The idea is air is going to come in here and be dragged out through exhaust vents at the back of the helmet. Grade 1 optical quality visor. As with all Shoeis, you've got a 120 pin lock in the box. So a combination of the 120 pin lock and pretty much excellent venting means that this isn't a helmet that's going to ever steam up. You do get in the box a chin guard, a breath guard, so if you want to make sure that your air is being expelled out of the helmet, if you're someone who does experience some misting in lids often, then that breath guard is going to send breath down. Also in the box you'll find a chin guard, again an aid to reducing noise. It's a quiet helmet, and I'm going to talk about why it's a quiet helmet in a minute, but that a chin guard in the box is going to help. Quick release visor mechanism here. There's a latch here, you pull it down, you pull it off, so you don't need any tools for taking the visor on and off. To turn the helmet over, you've got a double D-ring closure. Shows the extent to which Shoei have gone to make this helmet quiet. These are extra noise absorbing pads that go in the air, in the ear apertures. If you want to fit a comms, you would take these out anyway and they would go into that space. So whilst it doesn't come with comms as such, and unlike the GT Air 2, there's not a space to put the comms, you'd have to put a comms on the side. It is already prepared so that you can put these earplugs in. So that's about it in terms of the features of the helmet. As I've said, we love it. It's lightweight, it's quiet, it's comfortable. No one, whatever bike you ride, you're never going to be embarrassed wearing a helmet like this. You could spend twice as much money and, to tell the truth, not get much more of a helmet than this. If there's a weakness, and I suppose it's reflected in the price, it does not have a drop-down sun visor. So if that's important to you, then maybe this helmet isn't for you. We do have the option to fit what's called a transitions visor. Now that's one of those visors that when the sun's bright, it darkens down, and obviously when it gets darker, it lightens up. So if you've got one of these, and it transitions pretty quickly, but if you've got one of those, you don't really need a drop-down visor. The problem is, if I'm being completely honest about it, is that's a ridiculous price. This helmet is £300. That's actually £190 at retail. What we do, we package that in at, I think, £130, maybe £139. So we're not making any money on that, but it enables you to have this helmet, if this is the helmet you want, with the facility of a facility that's as good as a drop-down sun visor. The problem is that puts this helmet at a price nearer to £440, and at that price you're butting up against the GT Air 2. Now the GT Air 2 is a heavier helmet that comes in at 1,400 grams. This is 1,300 grams. This is going to be a nicer helmet for some people to wear. Women love it, and anyone who wants lightness, this helmet is a nicer helmet than the GT Air 2. But the GT Air 2 does have facilities that this doesn't. So if you are going to buy this helmet and then put a transitions visor on it, you've got to look at the GT Air 2, because that has some extra facilities that you don't get here. It has an integrated sun visor. It's pre-wired and channeled for comms. So in some ways, it's a superior helmet. However, if you don't want those facilities, at £300, you're still buying a great helmet here. So the RYD comes in a fairly limited range of, frankly, quite dull colours. It's a sensible grown-up helmet. There's nothing in the range with a number on or wild, flamey graphics and so on. That's probably the brightest, the orange. There's a matte blue, matte black, really nice grey, matte silver, shiny black and white. As I've said, the thing that we like about this helmet is you can wear it on any bike. In fact, until recently, we haven't had what I would call a proper, good quality retro helmet, but Shoei have a new one coming out very soon, the Glampster, and RI obviously have the Rapide Neo. But until now, this is a helmet that we felt was probably the best helmet to wear on a bike like that, because it was fairly innocuous, a little bit anodyne. It had a shape that wasn't particularly racy. You could, as we said, ride that on any on any bike, and particularly in the matte black, these plastic bits tend to disappear, so it kind of works well on kind of retro and custom bikes. But anybody can ride any bike in one of these helmets. You do not need more. Now you can spend a lot more money. There are £600 helmets, £700 helmets, and they have features I'm sure that some people believe are massively important. But in terms of the fundamentals, this helmet, the RYD, does everything you could ever want. We can make it fit like a dream. If you come and see us here at Motolegends, we'll change the cheek pads, we'll do the headliners. It's comfortable, it is quiet, it clears well, it's got Shoei's aim shell. There's nothing more that you actually need in a helmet. So if you're looking for a helmet that's going to give you the ultimate levels of protection and so on, but you want to pay a reasonable price, you really have to look at the RYD. But you probably have to do it fairly soon. This helmet will not be around in a year's time. The UK importer has bought all of the stocks of the RYD. It's a shame because, as I said, we've loved this helmet. We're going to be sad to see it go, but I'm sure another helmet will be coming through in times to replace it. But we can expect some of these colours to start selling out by the middle of the year. By the end of this year, the RYD would have disappeared. So if this helmet is of appeal, then I think you should move soon. This offer is not going to be around forever. So that was the Shoei RYD. I hope you found that informative. If you would like to know more about the helmet, then you can visit the website www.motolegends.com. If you would like to subscribe to our ongoing email bulletins, then you can do that on the website. On the front page, there are lots of little squares. We call them tiles. If you click on one, there's one there for subscribing. It's nice and quick and easy to do. Then you will receive information in the future about any new releases that we get into the building. And we have new products throughout the season arriving pretty much every day of the week. So that's the best way of keeping informed about all that's new and exciting in the world of motorcycle apparel. If, however, you would prefer to get your information videographically, then we would be delighted if you signed up to our YouTube channel, and you can do that on the subscribe button below here. If you are so excited by the RYD that you figure that life cannot go on without one, then you can go direct to the page by clicking on the icon up here on the top right hand side. That will take you direct to the Shoei RYD. You can read more about the helmet there, or you can buy the helmet immediately. Anyway, this has been Chris at Motolegends. Thank you for listening. We'll talk again soon.